I do have to mention the funniest story of the day. The AP style book has sounded off again on American language. It's always exciting when they do this. So it used to be that they would sound off on like the Oxford comma, which is the comma before and in a lot of sentences. Now they actually have broader comments that implicate politics. Here's what they tweeted today. You ready? We recommend avoiding general and often dehumanizing the labels, such as the poor, the mentally ill, the French, the disabled, the college educated. Instead, use wording such as people with mental illnesses, and use these descriptions only when clearly relevant. So first of all, I totally agree. The French is a dehumanizing label. You should totally never say that someone is the French. It's a terrible thing to say about somebody. Also, I agree that we should use the term people with mental illnesses to describe today's college educated. That also feels correct to me. But I'm also just wondering what the alternatives are. Is it people suffering from Frenchness? Is it people who have experienced cheese-eating surrender monkeyness? Like what exactly, if you can't call them the French, what exactly do you call them? Beret-wearing, wine-swilling surrender monkeys? I'm running out of terms. I'm not sure. You're also not supposed to say the poor. So I guess you're supposed to say people experiencing poverty, as though it has just sort of collapsed on them like a building or something. Always. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes it is not. And you're not supposed to say the college educated. Instead, you should say, again, people with mental illnesses. So it's exciting to see the Associated Press sounding off on this sort of stuff. Yes, life is getting increasingly stupid and restrictive. But, that's all right. Because after all, Joe Biden is going to lead us to a bright and glorious future. Okay, so just how idiotic have our restrictions become with regard to language? So there is an article from the UK Daily Mail about a human named Isla Bryson. This person was known as Adam Graham until just about 5 minutes ago. According to the Daily Mail, there was fury today after a transgender rapist attacked 2 women as a man, then changed gender before the trial. Isla Bryson was a shaven-head Adam Graham with a Mike Tyson-style face tattoo when they carried out the violent sex attacks in 2016 and 2019 after abusing the victims they originally met online. Bryson, who claimed to have had gender issues since the age of 4, began transitioning from a man to a woman in 2020 after being charged with the rapes. The attacker denied the accusations, telling jurors any sex was consensual, although Bryson insisted she did not like sleeping with women, and they made the first move. So I just want to point out here that the UK Daily Mail is reporting on a dude who used his penis to rape women and has now referred to this person as they and she. You must respect the pronouns of sexual violence predators. You must. It is very, very important. Society will only be better if we pretend that bald men with face tattoos who say they are women are actually women. They must be respected. Now, we can't say that they're sane in any other respect. We can say they're violent and evil in any other respect. But when they say that they are a member of the opposite sex, we have to take that at absolute face value. Not their actual face. You know what I mean. According to the Daily Mail, there was no reference to the 31-year-old having a gender recognition certificate during the trial. It is understood Bryson is being held in a segregation unit at Cornton Vale Women's Prison. So now you're holding the dude who used his member to rape women in a women's prison. The attacker will be risk assessed ahead of sentencing to see where she will serve her term. She is a dude. I don't even know what to say about this. Are we so idiotic as a society that we have decided that men who rape women and then call themselves women should be housed with the women in a prison? That's how dumb we have become? Bryson was found guilty of the 2 rapes. The defendant denied the charges, saying in evidence she would never hurt another human being. Her defense even told the High Court in Glasgow, quote, if you accept that evidence that she is transitioning, that she is aiming to continue on that path to becoming female gender, that goes a long way to acquitting her of these charges. Why? Why? So if you're an evil man who rapes women and then you say, hey, I'm becoming a woman, I guess we acquit you now. That's exciting stuff. Scottish Conservative Shadow Community Safety Minister Russell Findlay said, quote, this rapist decided he was no longer a man only after appearing in court on a rape charge. We now have the utterly perverse situation where a Scottish court refers to someone who says he identifies as female using her penis to rape 2 vulnerable women. We warned of the inevitability of this happening if the SNP's gender self-ID law passed. For it to have become reality is deeply worrying and affront to the victims. Now, we actually do have a picture of this human. There is not a human being on earth who thinks this is a woman. It is not possible to believe this. So first of all, general note, face tattoos mean you got a problem. Other note, typically people who are bald and have face tattoos and are men are not women. I know it's a crazy thought. But apparently Bryson is now dressing in ladies' clothes that include leggings that are very obviously featuring a male crotch bulge. So I guess that it's a woman. The first victim recalled repeatedly stating no as her muscular attacker raped her when the then man got into bed beside her in 2016. The second woman was raped at a flat when they were planning to watch the film Mean Girls in 2019. Bryson had first appeared in the doc in July 2019 as Adam Graham. By the start of her I love the media. The media are just going right along with this. It's just normative that this is a woman. By the start of her 6-day trial, the defendant was known as Isla Bryson. Bryson is currently taking hormones and seeking surgery to complete gender reassignment. Who cares? This is a dude. This is a dude. You don't get to pick your sex. And you don't get to force the rest of us to pretend that a woman raped 2 other women with her penis. That's an absurdity. And yes, it is an insult to reason. It's an insult to fact. It's an insult to decency to say this sort of stuff. Just amazing, amazing stuff here. And by the way, this person says they've had gender issues since they were 4, but you can't say that they actually have any problems. Apparently, this is perfect normality. So everybody seems to be lying to you, right? They're suggesting that 2010, 2011, it was all hunky-dory back then. Now the debt ceiling thing is going to hit, and that's what's going to sink the economy. All of that is untrue. Are you sick of hearing things that are untrue? Are you sick of people telling you lies? Lies like all of your internet activity is private when you use incognito mode. That is, in fact, a lie. This is why you should do what I do and use ExpressVPN. Using the internet without ExpressVPN, it's like leaving your laptop open and unattended at the coffee shop table. Most of the time, probably fine. Then one day, you're looking around, and suddenly there's just some weirdo from the FBI who's just browsing through your emails. Or maybe he doesn't even have to be at the coffee shop. Maybe he's just doing that anyway. You need ExpressVPN to anonymize your internet activity. It's just that simple. It doesn't take a genius to hack somebody. All you need is some cheap hardware. This is why I use ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet, so hackers can't steal your data. It would take a hacker with a supercomputer over 1 billion years to get past ExpressVPN's encryption. I love ExpressVPN because it's incredibly easy to use. Just fire up the app, click one button. It works on all devices. You can stay secure on the go. Secure your online data today. Visit expressvpn.com/Ben. That's expressvpn.com/Ben. Get 3 extra months for free. That's expressvpn.com/Ben. I've been using them to secure my internet data for years at this point. You should do the same. expressvpn.com/Ben. Like Manchin's incentive structure is that he has to broker some sort of deal here. He is a Democrat in a very red state. There's even been talk of him switching parties. Speaking of switching things, you might want to switch your phone coverage from one of the big guys over to Pure Talk. Because if one of your goals this year is to do business with companies that share your values, you should check out Pure Talk. Pure Talk is the antidote to woke wireless companies. It's proudly veteran-owned. It employs a US-based customer service team. It absolutely refuses to spend money on news networks that you hate. Pure Talk's service is excellent. They're one of the largest networks in the country. They use one of the tower networks that the big guys use. You can get blazing fast data, talk, and text for as low as $30 per month. That's probably half what you're paying with Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile. You can switch over to Pure Talk in as little as 10 minutes while keeping your phone and your phone number. Your first month is guaranteed risk-free. Try it. If you're not completely happy with the service, you get your money back. This year, make it a goal to support the companies that don't hate you. Go to puretalk.com, enter promo code Shapiro, save 50% off your very first month of coverage. That's puretalk.com. Promo code Shapiro. Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless. Stop spending too much money with the big guys who really don't like you very much and are overcharging you for your data and for your coverage. Get the same exact coverage, but at a better price with puretalk.com. Use promo code Shapiro to save 50% off your very first month. Okay. Meanwhile, other stupidities of the civilized West. Amazing story. This is out of Africa, and it really is kind of amazing. There's an image here that we'll have to put up of Janet Yellen in Zambia. So Janet Yellen, straight from Hobbiton, is standing outside of what appears to be a mud hut with some sort of leafy roof. And she's standing beside villagers from Chongwe, Zambia. According to Axios, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen traveled to a small farming community in rural Zambia to deliver a big message. Africans can help feed the world. Yellen wants to convince Africans, from market women to government ministers, that the U.S. will be their partner for the long haul. That includes helping them to become more food secure and survive the effects of climate change. She's the head of the Treasury Department, guys. I don't know what this has to do with anything. Why is the head of the Treasury Department in Zambia lecturing the Africans on how they should farm? She says farmers, like the ones we work with here, are often the first witnesses of the changing climate and its consequences. Striking a more optimistic note, she said Africa has the potential not only to feed itself, but also to help feed the world. Devastating droughts across Africa, coupled with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have increased food insecurity and driven up energy costs across the continent. In Zambia, low water levels on the Zambezi River have decreased hydropower, leading to so-called load shedding, where the country's utility imposes rolling blackouts to conserve power. In Zambia, she has asked local farmers, Yellen, about drought-resistant crops you can switch to in the face of more unpredictable weather. She shared a laugh with a cooperative of small female farmers when one said, "Time is money." She is also promoting America in words and deeds as a reliable partner to help combat climate change and improve living standards. So I would just like to point out right here that you know what people in Zambia would like? Food. You know what they don't need? Lectures on climate change. They don't need Janet Yellen, who, unless I have missed the mark completely, has no farming experience, lecturing them as to exactly what kind of crops they should be utilizing in order to feed their children. Again, call me crazy, but I don't think that a lady raised in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and who went to Brown University and Yale University and taught at Harvard University is an agricultural expert. I don't know what she is doing over there, except lecturing a bunch of people from developing countries on what they can and cannot grow. I should point out right now that, again, Zambia is a really, really, really poor country. Sending people from extraordinarily wealthy countries to lecture people from extraordinarily poor countries with bad governance on why they should grow stuff that we want them to grow while we sit here and get unbelievably fat is you want to talk about first world imperialism? So apparently the first world is now imperialistic in two separate ways. One, we'll cram down trans ideology on the kids of people in foreign countries. We'll pretend that men can be women, women can be men, and the highest form of morality is to abolish traditional marriage in favor of same-sex marriage or any other marriage you wish to see fit. Also abortion. Right? These are things we definitely have to spread abroad. We can't spread abroad things like property ownership. Capitalism would be a hard thing to spread abroad. That's a thing we're not going to do. The things we are going to spread abroad are radical gender ideology, abortion, and also lecturing you about climate change. These are the things people need more than ever from the United States, the single most successful capitalist enterprise in world history. That's what they need from us. They don't need actual property rights, stable governance. They don't need any of that stuff. What they actually need is Janet Yellen telling them which crops to grow because it's getting hot outside, which no one in Africa knew, that it gets hot. No one knew that. I'm glad that Janet Yellen was there to inform them of that. I should, again, note at this point that apparently, according to globalhungerindex.org, some 30% of the population of Zambia is undernourished. I should also note that at least 35% of the population of Zambia, of the child population, children under 5 years old, suffers from child stunting, meaning they're not growing properly because they don't have enough food. And there she is lecturing them about what crops to grow. An amazing thing. Maybe we should focus in on the fact that we could help them out in terms of, backing governmental actors who are less corrupt. That would be a thing to do. That, by the way, is according to the ambassador to Zambia under the Biden administration. He delivered an address in December of 2022 called "Corruption is a Cancer. You are a Cure." And he says, from the procurement of medical supplies to obtaining one's birth certificate, passport, or land title, to turning a blind eye to the illegal sale of mukala or of protected wildlife, corruption affects all levels of society. The effects of corruption are not theoretical. Faulty drugs can lead to injury or death of patients. A bribe to a law enforcement officer can lead to unfit vehicles on the road that cause fatal accidents. Faulty road and transportation infrastructure puts the entire public at risk. Yesterday's corrupt public infrastructure debts will be paid by children born today. Corruption will keep investors away, leading them to invest and create jobs elsewhere where the rule of law and sanctity of contracts are upheld. Corruption is not a victimless crime. From projects to build roads to tenders to buy fertilizer, Zambia hemorrhages money. This, again, according to a Biden administration officials, hemorrhages money in opaque public procurements. When tenders, winning bidders, and procurement teams are made public, the public can determine whether a $20 million presidential jet is worth $190 million, or if a $500 million dual carriageway is worth $1.24 billion. Parliament's visibility into and approval of new debt is a strong first step, but policies and laws mandating transparency and prohibiting non-disclosure agreements on loans assumed by the Zambian people would drastically stem public theft. So shouldn't we be using all of our leverage to fight corruption in Zambia? Isn't that something that we should be doing? By the way, one thing that we could do, it sounds counterintuitive, but it's not. We could severely curb the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act is an act that punishes American citizens for engaging in corruption abroad. So let's say that you're a company and you want to invest in Zambia. You want to build up Zambia. You want to provide jobs in Zambia. The only way to do that is to find the local land official and to give the local land official $5,000. So you do it because you want to actually put your plant down in Zambia. You want to create jobs. You want to increase the economy. You will get fined and you will get sued in the United States under the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which means nobody invests in Zambia again. Does that actually make Zambia less corrupt? Probably not, because it means that the people who are in charge of Zambia continue to make the grift off of U.S. foreign aid largely, while prohibiting the financial growth of their country. Alrighty, guys, the rest of the show is continuing right now. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll be getting into a trans male rapist, meaning a dude who raped some women, allegedly. I guess he's in jail for it now, but now he calls himself a woman, so we all have to use his preferred pronouns. It's really important to respect the pronouns of the rapist, who apparently is now a very rapey woman. If you're not a member, become a member. Use code Shapiro at checkout for 2 months free on all annual plans. Click the link in the description and join us.